Hello everyone, today I'm going to create a faux brick wall. So the walls in my basement are poured concrete and I wanted to create a nice backdrop for my studio area. I spent way too much time and money on this DIY project, and I'll let you know later how much I spent and what I would have done differently. But in the meantime, I'll explain the process. So I already layered some joint compound on the wall with a trowel, and now I'm using a faux brick roller to make the impression of the brick. I then went back with a small putty knife to smooth out areas that I didn't like, and I also went in with a chippy brush to clean up and texturize the mortar joints, which is the area between the bricks. So this is what I got done last night, and I ran out of the joint compound, so I got a couple more. This is what I have to finish up today, all the way here down to that corner. So I think so far it's going pretty good. I'm going to finish this wall up and roll it, and then I'm going to start working on this wall with the paint and starting to paint it in so that it looks more like bricks. So this is the joint compound that I'm using. I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. I have one of those like drill mixers somewhere, but I have no idea where it's at, so I'm just using a big stick. But I'm going to mix this up and get going. So this side is still wet, as you can see. That side is dry. So I'm going to start painting on that wall. I painted the bricks brown and I didn't like it. I even tested out an area and whitewashed over that, over the brown, and I still didn't like it. So I purchased a red brick color from Lowe's to go over the brown. But first I wanted to see how the red looked over the whitewash, so I tested out an area and decided that I liked the red over the whitewash instead of the red just over the brown without the whitewash. So here I am whitewashing all the brown brick. I'm just using a chalk paint that I watered down a lot with water, of course. That's what you water things down with. Anyway, so I'm going to go over each brick again. I've done this so many times I couldn't even count how many bricks I've covered again and again. I then go over each brick again with the brick red paint, making sure to outline the brick and leaving some of the whitewash underneath exposed. I then go over each brick again with another whitewash, which is just chalk paint that I really thinned out, and then I'll go over that with a damp rag to remove some of the whitewash. I was doing this in sections and removing while the whitewash was still a little wet, but then I did a larger area with the whitewash and it ended up drying, so it took a little bit more to remove some of the whitewash, and I just kept a bucket next to me to rinse out the rag every so often, making sure to wring the rag out pretty good so that it's just damp. I also decided I wanted the wall to look like someone had ripped off the plaster and exposed the brick underneath, kind of what you might see in like an old Italian restaurant or something, or in Italy or something like that. So I purchased a roll of this thick craft-like paper, which is usually used to put on your floor to protect it while you're doing construction or whatever. Anyway, I tore some of this off the roll and I used a putty knife to smear some more joint compound over it. Here I'm using a trowel to smear the joint compound over the paper, and then I originally had used double-sided tape to stick the paper to the wall, but as you can see it's starting to come loose. So then I decided to put some of the joint compound underneath the paper to help it stick better to the wall. I'm not too sure what step that I'm at right now, but I kept thinking it needed something more, so I ended up taking a couple of days to decide if I liked it or not. You can see on this other wall here what the poured concrete looked like before on this wall, and it's pretty ugly, so it's definitely an improvement. I did take some time here to put my office back together and actually going through piles of filing and shredding that had piled up over the past year. So this is a little bit of behind the scenes. This is my work table, and then this is the shot of what people will see when I sit at my work table. So this is the focal point of my background. Anyway, so I decided I wanted to actually extend some of the fake plaster look, so I ended up adding more, and I didn't want to bore you with more footage of that. But I purchased this paint inlay made by IOD called Summer Villa, so I had to wait about a week for this to come in. And it's a pretty cool product as I can basically transfer the image onto the wall. So using a laser level, I taped the panels up so I could make sure this is where I wanted the image, as well as being able to make sure that I put it on straight using a laser level. So here I need to adhere the inlay to the paint, so I'm using white chalk paint, and then I will place the inlay over the paint and gently press down with my hands. I'll then spray over the inlay with water, and using my hands and a damp sponge, you press down some more to make sure that the inlay is pressed into the paint so it could transfer the image. What I didn't do was trim off the seams on the inlay, so I ended up only doing one panel, and then I came back after that dried to do another one, or do the other ones, so that I could match them up better. After you spray and press the inlay into the paint, you have to let it fully dry. So then I come back and spray with water again to release the inlay. And then I take a corner and gently pull it away from the wall. See, the whole image doesn't show up, but that's okay because it's the look I'm going for, like the old vintage old kind of worn out look. And you can use these inlays a couple of times, so you have to make sure to lay them flat to dry, and then you can store them back in the packaging for use at another time. I'm not sure how many times you can use it, but I did use this section 2 times as I used it on another section of the fake plaster. And if you have a problem getting the inlay to release, you just spray it with water again and it'll loosen up for you. Again, I wanted the plaster to look old and vintage, so I watered down some brown antiquing wax, and using a textured sponge, I blotted on the plaster. Some areas I would kind of, drag it down a little bit to make it more of a whole area that was kind of antiqued instead of just blotted, and just kind of played around with it to see what I liked. So here's a close-up of the finished wall, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Like I said earlier, this faux wall took a lot more time and money to create. than I thought was necessary after all was done. So here are a few things that I would have done differently. When using the roller, the joint compound would stick to the roller, and then I would have to wash it off in a bucket of water. I think I would have waited and maybe experimented with the joint compound and I had let it dry a little bit, maybe tested a corner of the wall, but let it dry a little bit more and see if it would not stick so much to the roller. This is the roller that I used. As you can see, it has like the impressions to make the wall, and as I would roll it, the joint compound would get stuck on the whole roller pretty much, but mostly in these crevices and stuff. So that was kind of a pain to have to, after each row, I would have to clean off the roller. So I would have experimented with the joint compound a little bit more. I also would have tested the brown color that I ended up not liking in a smaller area and giving myself a little bit more time to make sure that I liked it. And then when deciding on the color red I wanted a brick red, and I was actually trying to mix different colors together of paints that I had, and then it hit me like, why don't I just go to Lowe's and look for a brick red, because they actually have a color called brick red. So I got a quart of that for $20, so that wasn't too bad, and I have a lot left over of that. And then when using paint for the inlay, I would have chosen like a beige or an antique white, so that way I wouldn't have had to go over this with the antiquing wax like I did. So that would have saved me some time too. So here's a breakdown of the costs. I got a little note here. So the paint roller is $21. I got that off of Amazon. I used 3 4.5 gallons of joint compound at $19.68 each. And then I had to get a smaller 3.5 quart of joint compound, and that was $8.48. I used the heavy construction paper. I don't have it here, but I used the heavy construction paper that was like $15 for a huge roll, and I have a lot of that left, so I can use that for other projects. The brown paint that I used was just a general acrylic paint that I got a large, I think it was an 8-ounce bottle at Joann's, and it was $8. Then the red brick paint I ended up getting from Lowe's, that was $20. The paint inlay from Iron Orchard Design was $52, and I ordered that from Sweet and Sassy Treasures. They are a retailer for IOD, so they're local. That's where I get all my IOD products from. So the total in all was $183.52. And I'll put a link to all the products that I used in a description in case you want to create your own faux brick wall. Time was probably at least 40 hours. Probably could have done it in 20 to 25 hours if I had to do it over again, knowing what did and did not work. But all in all, I'm happy with the brick wall. It's just a start to all that I want to do in the basement here, and we'll hopefully get to those projects in the next couple of months. Right now I need to organize some things and declutter a lot, which will hopefully help motivate me to make the basement a more livable space for us. As a content creator, I love sharing my projects with you, and by subscribing, liking, and commenting on my videos, you show your appreciation, which will help me achieve my goal of being able to monetize this channel so that I can continue to provide you with DIY content. So make sure to hit that subscribe and like button and leave a comment down below to help me reach my goals so that I can keep on crafting content for you. Thanks again for watching. This is Jeannie with Makers Unify, and have a DIY day.